The massive international operation is underway to rescue 12 boys and their soccer coach found alive deep inside a cave after being missing for over a week. Workers are desperately trying to get them out, but there are a lot of obstacles in their way. Trace Gallagher joins us with the latest. Trace.
You know, Dana, the fastest way for these boys to get out is clearly to swim, but that's risky because some of the kids don't know how to swim, and it would take several days to teach them how to use the dive equipment. But if for some reason they decide to swim their way out, the boys would each be guided by 2 professional divers. Though even Thailand's elite divers, the Navy divers, found it difficult to move through the muddy waters and the tight passageways. In fact, some of the channels in those caverns are so narrow that only one person at a time can fit through. And that means for portions of the trip out, the boys would be on their own. Watch this.
It's confined spaces. It's almost zero visibility. There's currents to battle against in places as well. So it's a really quite a strenuous environment to be in.
The question then becomes how these boys handle stress, because experts say if any of them get into these small passageways and they panic, that could be life-threatening. Now, if they decide to stay inside the cave and sit tight, stay there for the rainy season, that means not getting out until October. They would certainly have supplies and light and communications, but more rain might mean moving to higher ground. And right now, they're about 2.5 miles in and a half mile down. A third option is to find another entrance into the cave or drill a brand new entrance, but the area out there is solid rock, and that in itself would take substantial time. Now, some of the boys have suffered minor injuries, but for the most part, they're all healthy and are now being given a high-protein liquid diet along with pain medication and antibiotics. They have also brought in a phone line so the boys can talk to their families. The boys, as you might imagine, are aware that the eyes of the world are now on them, and as you have seen from the video, they are all still in their soccer uniforms. They're scared in many instances, but we're told they're in good spirits, and we expect a decision on a rescue plan to happen sometime in the next 12 to 24 hours. Dana.
All right. Thank you, Trace, for that update. We appreciate it. We'll take it around the table here just because, Jason, it is remarkable to think that, one, they're all okay, but staying there is difficult, and leaving might be even worse, and they might have to wait till October to get out.
This is one of those heart-wrenching stories because there are parents and families and these kids, they're together. They just went to play soccer and they go dive into this, look through this cave, and next thing you know, they're fighting for their lives. There's 2 Thai doctors, I heard, that are going to have volunteered to go in and sit with them and be with them and offer comfort. But this is one of those moments where the whole world is watching and praying and hoping that they somehow figure out a way, because this is not an easy one. They're pumping out something like 1.6 million liters of water, and it only went down 1 centimeter. So the water's coming in faster than millions of liters that they're trying to pump out, and it's a scary situation.
These boys are the same age as your son, Kimberly. They're healthy, they're athletes, and so they have some resilience, and they also probably have pretty good attitudes, it sounds like, by all accounts. I mean, you can relate.
Yeah, I really can relate. So I think it's just, it's so sad. I just feel for them and for their families, that they're trapped like this. I mean, the only thing I can say is that, thanks be to God that they have each other, right? That it's just not like 1 or 2 little boys of that age, because, you're at that age, you're about to go into kind of like puberty or adolescence, etc. But, they're still children. And you can imagine if it was like little girls in there, et cetera. So I'm really happy that the U.S. is putting forth such a concerted effort to be able to help. And we're always the first to answer the call in terms of, humanitarian relief or rescue efforts like this. I mean, this is just kind of a very good example of, what we do best, and it was reaching out, to others in need with whatever resources. So I think people should pray for them, and hopefully, this is going to, work out really well. Obviously, a lot of people trying to work together cooperatively to produce a very favorable result here. And so, hopefully that's going to happen very soon.
It is amazing, Juan, what rescuers can do, what they can figure out.
Well, first and foremost to me is just the facts on the ground. I mean, the idea is these young men, 11 to 16, had no food for 10 days. No food. So the expectation was that some of them may have died away or something, but instead what we know is they're suffering from muscle atrophy. Some of them can't stand for lack of food. Now they're starting to put food in, to send food in, and that the doctors, as Jason was saying, are there to try to help them not only get accustomed to consuming solid food, but instruct them in terms of how to get their bodies working again. The second thing that amazes me is that in this age of political polarization, here you have an international community. You have the English, the Americans, the Chinese, the Australians, as well as the Thai, all working together. Nobody's finger pointing, nobody's complaining. Everybody says, hey, that's a group of children, as Kimberly was saying, and we're going to help them. We're going to get involved and do what's right. So the thing that, of course, as a human being you're struck by is nobody knew the kids were missing until one mom said, hey, my son didn't come home. And then it's like the world woke up and said, hey, where are those boys? And so the boys had walked 1.2 miles
into the cave,
right? So they walk into the cave before the flooding prevents them from coming out. Now, I don't know, I read a book once, it was a novel, it was about spelunking, which is people who go into caves and explore. So here, I mean, for me, I would be like freaked out to go into some dark cave, but it was daytime apparently. They walk in and they don't realize how far they've gone or how narrow the exit is, and it's the exits then that flood and prevent them from getting out. And now even the pro divers are saying you have mud in the water. So even if you are a tough professional diver, you can't see. You don't know where you're going.
And there's a guy, Tom, one of the cave divers, who said that it is roughly 1.5 miles to get there, but it took them 4 hours to go through the water in that mud.
It's single file. They kind of come through, and then they have their equipment on, but they can't see anything. Great summer reading, Shadow Divers, a great book, and it talks about these guys are superheroes, these divers, people who go into this kind of rescue. It's an amazing story. I love looking at all the detail. Obviously, you know, they're in danger, but I think these kids are going to be okay. They have top people on it. If you want to read a great book over the summer, Shadow Divers, it talks about how dangerous it is. It's about people who, you know, these divers who do this life-risking kind of dives. These people who dive into, it's so dangerous. I mean,
but
scuba
they
diving,
do it because they're trying to save people, or because it's fun?
Well, there's also, it covers all the diving world. These guys off the coast of Jersey who do it recreationally, but also a lot of these guys, they do recreational dives and they go down looking for treasure, but in their spare time, they're always ready to help in situations like this.
I want to just mention, Dana, before we go on, that one of the more interesting developments that's come out of this is the international response about the use of social media to talk about this incident. That there's great awareness that other children are going to be interested in the fact that children are trapped within. And so people are being told, be careful what you say about these young people. This is not a time to go after the young men for going into the cave. It's not a time to belittle them for being in the cave, or to wonder why they were there, or why the 25-year-old coach took them in there. You know what? We don't need it.
Well, Jason, one thing I was thinking about, because you're from Utah, and I'm from Colorado, Wyoming, and a lot of those areas there, you could get yourself into a situation, especially in Utah, like in Zion Canyon, where you might think that it's pretty fun to go down this little trail, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, there's water up to your chin.
We have slot canyons. Out west, we got a lot of abandoned mines. People think, hey, it's fun, let's go into this. We do have a lot of caves and cave networks there between Nevada and Utah and Colorado and Wyoming. One of the things I can't get over with these kids are dealing with is how dark it is.
I know.
I mean, I go into my closet and don't have the light on, and I'm like,
freaked out.
And truly, imagine how dark it was, because they were 9 days in there before they figured out that they were alive. 9 days, and it had to be pitch black. I mean, their lights were only working for so long, if they even had much with them. And now they've got this hard decision, right? What do you do? Do you try to teach a kid to swim? Do you put a mask on them? Do you wait it out and hope that Mother Nature doesn't pour more water into that cave? They have some heart-wrenching decisions.
We hope that everything turns out okay. Of course, God gives you what you need in order to get through it, and I'm sure they're very serene at the moment. I mean, they seem like it in the pictures. They have guidance, and they've been raised very well, so we will keep you updated on that.